The house was already too quiet for this hour. A faint drizzle tapped the windows, and the hallway light glowed like a warning sign. My friend had gone upstairs long ago, leaving me alone with his stepmom and the smell of ginger tea in the kitchen. I told myself I was only waiting for my ride, but the longer I stayed, the more it felt like a dare I didn't remember agreeing to. She appeared at the edge of the living room doorway, a tall silhouette wrapped in a pale silk robe. The TV played some muted reality show, its flickering images dancing across her bare calves. "He's out cold," she said softly, tilting her head toward the staircase. "He won't wake up for hours. He never does after a night like this." Her tone was half amusement, half test. I tried to smile back, but my throat had gone dry. I perched on the arm of the couch, checking my phone for a signal. My ride was 10 minutes out, maybe 15. She crossed the room, the robe swaying just enough to suggest movement beneath. When she handed me a mug of tea, her fingers brushed mine, warm and deliberate. "You're polite," she murmured, "always helping him clean up. You remind me of someone." She sat down next to me, so close that the hem of her robe grazed my knee. I tried to focus on anything else, the sound of the rain, the faint hum of the refrigerator, but her presence filled the space. The soft scent of her perfume mixed with the steam from the mug. She leaned back against the cushions, her robe opening slightly at the collarbone. "You know," she said, almost conversational, "there are things in this house we don't talk about, things better left between walls." Her eyes met mine, holding a gaze longer than necessary. A sudden thump from upstairs broke the moment. We both turned toward the ceiling. "Just the pipes?" she whispered, though she didn't look convinced. She reached for her phone, its screen lighting her face with a blue glow. A message from David, her husband, I guessed, flashed briefly before she tilted it away. "Flight landed." It read, "We'll call soon." She slid the phone face down on the coffee table, her lips pressing into a thin line. Cleared my throat. "I should probably," I began. She cut me off with a small shake of her head. "No rush," she said, then leaned forward. Her robe slipped at the shoulder, revealing a trace of skin. "If you're going to sit here looking at me like that," she said quietly, "you need to understand the rule. No one can know. Not him, not anyone. Especially not him." She glanced upstairs again, as if the walls themselves might repeat her words. My phone buzzed, startling me. A text from my friend. "You still down there? Grab me water." Another from the driver. "Running late. 20 minutes." My pulse quickened. The house felt smaller, every sound sharper. The tick of the wall clock, the faint groan of the stairs. I stood up, clutching my jacket, thinking escape was the smart move. She rose too, following me to the hallway. The robe's silk caught the dim light, whispering as she moved. At the door she paused, looking up at me with an expression I couldn't read. "If you're going to think about it anyway," she murmured, fingers sliding along the doorframe. Then, with a motion so small I almost doubted it happened, she pulled the edge of the robe aside, just enough for me to glimpse the soft line of her hip. "You might as well earn it." A floorboard creaked overhead. We both froze. Her phone vibrated on the table. Another message from David. The driver texted again. "Traffic jam. 30 minutes now." My exit had evaporated. She tilted her head, a slow, knowing smile forming at the corner of her mouth. "Looks like you're not leaving yet," she said. "Come back to the kitchen. The tea's still hot." I hesitated, jacket in hand, but the sound of footsteps above forced my decision. Staying felt dangerous. Leaving felt impossible. I stepped back into the house, and the door clicked shut behind me. The next time I saw her, it was daylight, but nothing about it felt clearer. It was 3 days later. My friend had invited me back for a casual gaming afternoon. He said he'd be in the shower when I arrived, just to come in through the side door. I did. The kitchen was bright with sun, and I was hit by the scent of something citrusy and warm. And there she was, his stepmom again, barefoot on the kitchen tiles, bent slightly over the open dishwasher. The same robe, not the exact same one from the other night, but the same kind of silk. Light, clinging, silent. This one was dark green, and the way it hugged her waist made it feel more like a decision than a wardrobe choice. "You're early," she said without turning. "So are you," I replied, then instantly regretted it. She gave me a small, sideways glance over her shoulder. Wasn't expecting anyone yet. Just finished yoga. She stood up slowly, closing the dishwasher, her robe shifting against her skin. For a few seconds, we both just stood there, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. A red silk ribbon hung loosely from her pocket. I couldn't tell if it was decorative, forgotten, or intentional, but it moved with her, trailing slightly as she walked across the room. "You're not telling anyone, right?" she asked, reaching for a glass. "About the other night?" "No," I said too quickly. I wouldn't." She filled the glass with cold water, turned, and stepped toward me. "Good. Then, because you looked like you liked it. A little too much." Her fingers brushed mine again when she handed me the glass. My hand stayed there a second too long. A door creaked above us. Footsteps, then the sound of the shower running. "Your friend's up," she said, almost amused. "You've got, 10 minutes?" The words were casual, but the weight behind them hung heavy in the air. She turned and walked toward the hallway. I followed, still holding the glass of water, unsure if I was walking into something or being walked into it. We stopped in the narrow corridor between the kitchen and the back patio. The light filtered through the blinds, striping her legs with pale gold. She leaned against the wall, her hair slightly damp from earlier. Her gaze dropped to the red ribbon in her hand. She had pulled it from her pocket. "What is that?" I asked. She twirled it once around her finger. "Used to be part of something older," she said vaguely. "Sometimes I keep things, even when I know I shouldn't." The ribbon dangled from her fingertips as she stepped closer, her voice lower. "It's strange, isn't it? The way tension builds. The way people pretend not to notice." Her hand moved to my chest, just for a moment, barely a touch, but it made my heart thud like a drum. I didn't move, didn't even blink. And then the sound of a phone vibrating. Loud. "Close." She froze. I looked down. My phone. A call from my mom. I declined it immediately, but a second later her phone rang too, from somewhere near the kitchen. She turned her head toward the sound, jaw tightening. "That'll be David," she muttered. "He's supposed to be flying to Chicago today." Another vibration, this time from upstairs. My friend. "Yo!" he shouted from the hallway, voice still groggy. "You here already?" I stepped back fast, heart still pounding. She stuffed the ribbon into her pocket again and whispered, "Later." Her robe slid across her thigh as she moved past me, and for one sharp, breathless second, I saw more than I should have. "I'll tell him you just got here," she added without looking back. As I walked into the living room, my friend came downstairs in a hoodie, rubbing his eyes. "Dude, you got here quick." I handed him the water. "Yeah, just now." From the kitchen, I saw her watching us, half hidden behind the fridge door, one hand still gripping the ribbon. 10 minutes later, when I got up to leave, she followed me toward the door. My friend was busy setting up the console, back turned. She reached into the drawer by the entrance and pressed a small slip of paper into my hand. I didn't unfold it until I was outside. One line, written in dark blue pen. Thursday, after 3. I leave the side door open. Thursday arrived like a knot in my stomach. The note had burned a hole in my pocket all week. I told myself a dozen times I wasn't going, but at 3:05 I was already walking up their driveway, pulse hammering. The side door was ajar, just like she'd written. Inside, the house smelled of laundry detergent and warm bread. No television, no footsteps, just the faint buzz of the fridge. I stepped in quietly, almost guilty. The red ribbon from before lay on the kitchen counter, coiled like a question mark. Upstairs, her voice called softly. I followed the sound up to the landing. The hallway was bright, blinds half open. A door to the left stood ajar, the spare room they used for storage. She was inside, wearing fitted workout clothes this time, hair tied back with the same ribbon. The transformation startled me. Not a lounging stepmom now, but someone keyed up, restless. "You came," she said, not smiling. "Good. I shouldn't be here," I murmured. "That's what makes it real," she answered, stepping closer. She held out the ribbon. "You keep it," she said, placing it in my palm. "Then it's not a secret anymore. It's something else." Before I could reply, the front door slammed. We both froze. Voices. Male. My friends. "Left my wallet here," he called. "Back in a sec." We moved fast. She shoved me toward the closet, finger to her lips. "Don't breathe," she hissed. The closet smelled of cedar and detergent. Through the crack, I saw her walk calmly to the door, calling down, "Check the kitchen." My heart rattled. He stomped through the hall below, opening drawers. "Where's my— oh, here." A pause. Weird. Side door was open. Then his footsteps climbed the stairs. I almost bolted, but she opened the closet a hair's width and met my eyes. Her look said stay. My palms were slick with sweat, still gripping the ribbon. He reached the landing. "Hey!" he said to her out of sight. "Did you see my keys?" She laughed lightly. "No, honey. Check your car." Right? Footsteps retreating. Front door again. Engine starting. Silence. She exhaled sharply and shut the closet, leaning her forehead against the door. "You see? This isn't a game," she whispered. I stepped out, trembling. We didn't." She cut me off, eyes sharp. "Because I told you. No one can know." I held up the ribbon between us. "Then why give me this?" She stared at it for a long moment, then at me. "Because I want you to stop pretending you don't want this," she said quietly. "Say it." I didn't, but I stepped closer instead, and for a heartbeat, our faces were inches apart. She reached up and brushed a thumb along my jaw, a slow, deliberate touch. That was her confession and mine. Then a phone rang downstairs. Loud. Her husband's name flashed across the screen on the counter. She pulled back fast, voice shaking. "He's early." I backed toward the door. "I should go." "You won't," she said. "Not yet." Her eyes flicked to the nightstand. She grabbed something, a small brass key on a leather cord, and pressed it into my hand. "Tomorrow," she whispered. "Garage door at 2. He's at the club. My son's at class. You come, or you forget all of this." The ribbon and the key lay together in my palm, warm from her skin. She closed my fingers around them, her breath close to my ear. "You choose now." Behind us, the front door opened again. A man's voice called out. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound felt louder. Every buzz of my phone made me flinch. My friend had texted me 3 times. "You dipped fast. Everything good." I left him on read. I told myself I'd reply in the morning. I didn't. By noon the next day, I was standing across the street from their house, hidden behind my car, staring at the garage like it could breathe. Her key sat in my pocket, warm from my fingers constantly checking if it was still there. I silenced my phone. Then I powered it off. That was the first lie. I told my mom I was at class. I told my roommate I was meeting a girl downtown. I skipped a work shift I couldn't afford to miss. That was the second lie. Then I crossed the street and used the key. The garage door rolled up slowly, groaning with mechanical indifference. Inside, darkness, a folding chair, an open side door. Beyond it, light. Her. She stood in the middle of the kitchen, in a simple gray tank top and jeans, barefoot again. No robe this time, no pretense. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said. No smile. "I told you I would," I replied. We didn't speak for a minute. The kitchen clock ticked like a countdown. Then she walked to the sink, poured 2 glasses of water, and slid one across the island. "My husband is at the club," she said. "Every Friday from 1 to 4. He has a routine. I've timed it." I took the glass but didn't drink. "He used to come home early," she continued. "But not for me, just to check the house. Sometimes I think he expects to catch something, like he wants proof." She sat down across from me, exhaling slowly. "I haven't touched him in almost a year. He doesn't even ask." Her voice dropped. "It's not about you. I need you to know that. It's about feeling like I still exist." The silence between us thickened. Her confession didn't feel rehearsed. It felt like something she hadn't said aloud in a long time. "Does your son know?" I asked. She looked up sharply. "No. God, no. He wouldn't understand. And he's not like you." We both heard it at the same time. The sound of gravel under tires. She moved fast, pulling me away from the window, dropping the blinds. "It's the neighbor," she whispered. "She saw you yesterday. She asked me about it this morning." "What did you say?" "That you left your charger. That you came in to grab it. Nothing more." "Did she believe you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into the drawer and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a Polaroid me, blurry, stepping through the side door, taken through a window, across the street. "She printed it and left it on our porch this morning," she said, voice shaking. "No note, just that." My blood ran cold. "She won't say anything," she added. "But this, it's not sustainable." I stepped closer. "Then end it." She looked at me for a long time, then shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "I don't want to." Her fingers brushed mine again. This time she didn't let go. "This is the only time I've felt like myself in months," she whispered. "Years, maybe." The silence swelled again. Charged. Dangerous. I leaned in. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. Her forehead rested against mine for one long breath. Then she whispered, "Tomorrow. Same time. But not here." "Where?" "There's a place I go to when I want to disappear. I'll text you the address." One last time. The address she sent was just coordinates. A cabin outside the city, tucked behind a row of rust-colored trees near the water. I'd never been there before, but when I arrived, I felt like I had. It was quiet, too quiet. No cars, no neighbors, just the sound of birds and distant wind. Her husband was playing golf. Her son thought she was shopping. I was off the grid, no phone, no excuses left. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. She was already there, sitting at the edge of the bed, robe wrapped around her like it belonged to someone else. No makeup, no jewelry, just her waiting. We didn't speak. I walked to her slowly, the wooden floor creaking with every step. The air was warm from a small space heater near the window. Outside, The wind rippled through the leaves like a warning. She stood up. The robe slipped down her shoulders. And this time, she didn't say, just once. This time, she didn't say anything at all. We stayed until sunset. No plan, no clock, no script. We touched like people who were both starving and scared. Nothing rushed. Nothing asked. Only answered. When I finally stood to leave, she didn't move. Do we pretend this never happened? I asked, already knowing the answer. She looked at the floor, then back at me. No, she said. We don't pretend. We protect. Same thing, I said quietly. She walked over, pulled a folded note from the pocket of her coat, and pressed it into my hand. Next time I won't text. You'll just know. I didn't understand. Not yet. A week later, I was walking past their house again. I hadn't planned to. I just ended up there. The garage door was closed. Curtains drawn. Lights off in the kitchen. From the outside, it looked like nothing had changed. But as I passed the mailbox, I saw it, barely poking out beneath the lid. A ribbon, the same red one, wrapped around a single key. No envelope, no note, just that